What's up, y'all? T-Bob here, and it's hard to wrap your head around, but can you believe that it's been 7 months without an NFL game? It's pretty insane, right? Well, good thing that's over because the NFL is here, and the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is also here, giving you a can't-miss offer week 1. This week, new customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 on an NFL game. $5 bet, $200 in bonus bets instantly. But look, and that's with the promo code TBOB. If you're signing up for the first time, promo code TBOB, TBOB, $5 NFL bet, $200 in bonus bets right away. But what about returning customers? I got you. DraftKings is hooking everyone up with game day greatness. All customers can take advantage of not one, but 2 new offers every single game day this September. Just get on the app and see what the offer is, man, and then dive in. So what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the code TBOB, T-B-O-B, to sign up, and new customers can take home $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. That's code TBOB, T-B-O-B, only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. A gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino Resort, Kansas, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See cdkng.co/football for eligibility terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. All right, there it is. There it is. What up, what up, what up? I know. Okay, Aaron in the chat. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. Snaps postgame on Saturday. A bit of a different Snaps postgame as we are both live here in Baton Rouge. Aaron Murray, T-Bob Hebert here. Aaron getting ready to go call LSU Grambling later tonight. Very excited to be part of DraftKings. Very excited to talk about this first slate of games just now. Aaron, how about it, dude? Shedeur Sanders in Colorado with all the pressure, so many people wanting them to fail. They show up and they take care of business, man.
Well, and they did it in a different way. I mean, last week was a shootout versus TCU in the week 1, just back and forth, back and forth. They had to do it with offense. They had to do it with explosive plays down the field. And that wasn't the case. I mean, 0-0 after the first quarter. We get into the second quarter, just a lot of punting. The offense seemed to stall a lot versus Nebraska, but they stayed patient. And I think that, to me, was the one good side about Shedeur and this offense is when things weren't going great, they weren't pressing. They weren't forcing it. They let the game come to them, and all of a sudden, big plays started to happen. Obviously, we'll get into all the issues for Nebraska and some of the turnovers and Jeff Sims, et cetera, et cetera. But Colorado showed us they can win a different style of football. And I think I said this to you about midway through the game. That's a good football team. It's just a solid team.
Yeah.
It's just a good football team on both sides from what we've seen for the first 2 weeks.
I mean, something the defense is like, look, the defense is not the most physically imposing, certainly on the D-line. They look maybe a little light, but they play hard, man. Like they know that they're well coached in terms of again, execution. Same thing we talked about last week. They know where to be. They play hard. They hit hard. They swarm to the ball. They don't miss a lot of tackles. Like the discipline of Colorado continues to shine.
And it's only week 2. Once again, we're going to reiterate. It's week 2 of a team that was put together 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And it looks like a well-oiled machine. It looks like a team that's been together for 2 or 3 years. It looks like a senior-led football team that you've been able to retain guys for 3 or 4 years in the system.
That's probably the craziest part about it. I mean, look, I feel like too, I never want to be a bat packy show like we were right here, but
we were right.
On this game, I mean, and I don't think a lot of people did. It wasn't just us, but like we had it nailed, right? Like the bottom line was the difference in quarterback.
Yes.
Like we said the other day, you saw Shedeur Sanders put together one of the most flawless performances we've ever seen. And then you saw Jeff Sims not just make errors, but make 3 of the worst errors I've ever seen in my entire life. And that carried over into this game.
Yep.
I mean, like the difference were the two quarterbacks. And what's interesting is early on, Aaron, Nebraska's defense was playing fucking tough, dude. So early on, it was more about Jeff Sims being bad. And then eventually it shifted back to, oh, wait, no, Shedeur Sanders is just, the dude is great.
Yeah.
He makes constant good decisions. One thing I feel like I learned about him today, and I want you to expound on as the quarterback, is he has a touch on his balls at every level, whether it's a short pass, working over the middle, deep, every level of throw. He just places in there. He doesn't always rock it, but he still makes it throw. It's not a weak throw. It just got a nice touch to it. And his escapability while staying cool, collected, keeping his eyes downfield. I mean, the 2-point conversion. Are you shitting me, dude? It's unreal.
He's sneaky athletic. He's not his dad, but he's sneaky athletic to get out some of these crazy situations. I'll say this right now, watching for the first 2 weeks of the season, there was a pecking order of quarterbacks in the Pac-12. And what do we talk about at the beginning of the year? That the Pac-12 is loaded with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Through 2 weeks watching him, and say whatever you want about TCU, say whatever you want about Nebraska. You knew good quarterback play when you see good quarterback play, especially playing the position. Shedeur's the second best quarterback right now in the Pac-12.
Okay, hold on.
The second best quarterback
Michael
playing
Penix Jr.
inside of the Pac-12, but behind Caleb Williams. Yes. Second best quarterback.
I mean, come on now, though. What has he done for?
What has he done?
No. Like, why is he just leaping Michael Penix Jr. all of a sudden?
Because,
is it? You're saying it's Shedeur's style of success?
His style of success and the way in which he's playing the football game right now. To me, if I'm an NFL scout, I am salivating over this kid. Escapability, arm strength, touch, decision making. There's not a box at the moment that he's not checking. Being able to handle the pressure.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. Like being able to be under a microscope and handle that pressure and all the attention and everything that comes with being Deion Sanders' son. And then to go out there and execute, and also execute with new receivers too. Like, Travis is his guy from a year ago from the HBCU. But this is a brand new team. So he's been able to be a leader of a team that's 60, 70 new guys and go out there and run an offense as efficient as he's run. Yeah, I think he's the second best quarterback in that conference right now.
I mean, it's not as crazy as it sounds, obviously. I mean, you look at the stat line again today, those are 500 yards in game number 1 against what I think is a much better defense in Nebraska.
Yep.
He comes out, and by the end of the day, 31 of 42, 393 through the air, 2 more touchdowns. So what is that? So now that's nearly 1,000 yards. It's about got to be around 70%. Actually, let's just look it up on the year so far. It's amazing. It boggles the mind.
74% completion. Oh, that was today. On the season, he's 81% completion.
What?
4 touchdowns. I was like, it's crazy stats. Whatever it is, it's crazy stats he's putting up right now.
And again, it's not it's not even, and I don't mean to demean the success of like a Hendon Hooker and this week you get out with Penix, but it is more it's a more fleshed out game than maybe you saw out of like a Hendon Hooker last year, where it was like a lot of deep balls, a lot of threat through just pure rocket arm strength, but there's like a consistency, a touch, and it's it immediately makes you relevant. I mean, it immediately makes you relevant. And I know we're not going to talk about Travis Hunter today because he doesn't have a pick, but I mean, you look up again, plays all the plays, 3 catches, 73 yards, still has a massive day. How about Xavier Weaver, though?
Yeah.
Went over 100 yards in the first game. He kind of got lost in the shuffle a bit because how couldn't you when you have 2 superstars burst onto the scene? But now follows up 100 yards in game number 1 with 10 catches for 170 and another score. So the weapons of Colorado, like we kind of felt coming into this game, end up being the difference.
Offensive line and the defensive line play, were they great? Were they perfect? Did they give up some sacks? I don't know how many exactly sacks they gave up in the game. I mean, decent amount actually, but I still think that is a unit on both sides of the football that are more impressive than what we anticipated heading into the season. Some of those sacks too were on Shedeur holding on to the ball a little bit too long. I think that's the one thing that if you want to go in there and critique his game a little bit through the first 2 weeks is at times he's trying to be a little bit too creative, and that kills an offensive line. And some of the sacks were on him compared to the big boys up front. But I thought for the big question of could this team handle defenses that were big and physical at the line of scrimmage, which Nebraska is. Nebraska, you go back and watch them week 1. That is a very physical football team at the line of scrimmage on the defense side of the football. I thought they played pretty well. I thought they held up really, really well in this game.
I would say you're the offensive line. You're saying,
yes,
yeah, I agree. I know that this is going to sound hyperbolic, okay? But for those of you that don't know, and I'm sorry, bro, I can barely read my window's so small, I can barely read the comments that you're putting in there. But I am going to get to your comments in a minute. But for those who don't know, I cover LSU mainly, right? And so I watched Joe Burrow firsthand, and it is not an exaggeration. Like, he reminds me so much of how Joe Burrow looked at that 2019 year, and it's even down to holding on to the ball too long.
Yeah.
Because that is something that Burrow did, because he knew a lot of the times he could extend the play. He was elusive enough in the pocket where he was never looking to run, maybe every now and then, which you saw like maybe once or twice this game. But no, extend the play and find somebody downfield. Again, just the calm, cool, collected nature as he's working at avoiding defenders. And yes, will it lead to sacks? Absolutely. But on the college level, more often than not, Shedeur Sanders' talent will be able to get away with that and make it the right choice.
Yeah, and how many times in the second half did we see a 3rd and long situation where he was able to use those legs, escape, and then be able to convert the first down with his arms? Like, yeah, it's like I take a sack for 5 yards, but then all of a sudden the next play I turn around and get a 15-yard gain. So like, you're waiting for your moment to strike. You're waiting for that big play, and that's the maturity. And I don't want him to continue to have to take sacks. And I think that there's a fine balance of playing the quarterback position of taking chances and being risky in the pocket and holding it for that last second to allow your receiver to get open or to see that window down the field. He's going to continue to find that balance throughout the season, but it still goes to the decision-making of quarterbacking one-on-one. What's your first job as a quarterback? Well, your first job is to take care of the football.
Yeah.
And he's done that while making explosive plays. Like, he is pushing the ball down the field. He is buying time in the pocket. He is throwing it over and over again, 20, 30, 40 yards down the field. Yet through 2 games, knock on wood for Colorado, there hasn't been turnovers.
Yeah.
And rarely, I can't even think of a time in my head, because he's thrown the ball, close to 80 times, 90 times in 2 games?
Yeah, easily.
It is hard for me right now to even think of, I remember a play where it was almost interception, or he put the ball in harm's way. Very few times, if any, has he put the ball in a situation where the defense had a chance to make a play on it.
There was one time today where it kind of looked like it live, but then you watched the replay and you saw that the defender's back was turned, and he knew that, and he was just throwing it right over his shoulder, which again speaks to like elite awareness out of the quarterback. Is Andy J, is Corn Hub dead, and is it now Prime Hub? Look, Corn Hub remains a work in progress, and I can see the comments you're putting in there now, bro. My bad. Corn Hub remains a work in progress.
Dead.
The black shirt defense looks great. On the Corn Hub front. Well, yeah, I mean, bro,
first half.
Well, yeah, but what do you want to fucking do when you turn the ball over?
I get it. I know.
The point of it, when it comes to Nebraska, though, Aaron, okay, we just championed us being right.
Yeah.
We also spent an entire offseason saying Nebraska might be better than we thought because of Jeff Sims.
Yeah.
And that looks dumb as fuck now, because for all the good that Jeff Sims can do, the consistency of the bad and not just the somewhat bad, like can't really complete a pass on 3rd down, or so. No, like the dropping snaps when you can't have it. Like, any time Nebraska early on got any offensive momentum, it was immediately blown up by a very easily fixable Jeff Sims mistake.
And I don't think they're going to win the game regardless of some of those mistakes. But yeah, those are issues that shouldn't arise. The dropping of the snap, the twice, not just one time, but 2 times where you have a tight end fullback motioning from one side of the field to the other, and you're not timing up the snap properly to essentially cause 2 fumbles on the play, where the guy's having to dodge the ball the first time, he knocks it. Luckily that he was able to get it. Second time turned out to be a turnover. That's on the quarterback. You work that all week long of when to give the communication, whether it's a foot, a clap, if you're able to use cadence, whatever it is, you have to time that up. And when you're on the road, when you're at home and you can use cadence, any of those jet motions, you can push the limit a little bit because you are the one doing it. But when you're on the road, man, I would rather let the guy go past the center and make sure it's a clean snap. Like, you have to be mature when you're on the road as a quarterback. You can't put it in harm's way. And now it's been 2 weeks in a row where Jeff Sims has not been great. And you and I are like, man, at what point are you going to put the backup quarterback in? And I know the backup quarterback came in there and threw a touchdown, but I don't know if there's much improvement of like this backup quarterback can go in there and win you football games.
And this is why I'm almost punting on the Corn Hub until another year, is because nothing matters as much as quarterback. And I feel like you almost witnessed the death of a career today in Jeff Sims.
Yeah,
maybe not because they don't have another choice, right? And so Rhule has to stick with him, and he allows him to improve. But at the end of the first half, that felt like a man who was broken. He just his entire demeanor.
What do we talk about? We talked about this in our pregame show. If Nebraska wanted to win the football game, Jeff Sims was going to have to run the ball 25 to 35 times.
Yeah.
And you were essentially just going to have to say, you know what? This is a wildcat quarterback type situation. We're going to run RPOs and zone reads and just keep it close and not turn the ball over.
Yeah.
And understand that we do have a good defense. And as long as we don't shoot ourselves in the foot, we have a chance to at least make it a 4-quarter game. Like they just got to get to the fourth quarter and without making mistakes. I think you continue to build this offense that is going to, I mean, they ran the ball two more, doubled up from what they threw the ball. They ran the ball 42 times, threw it 22 times. So you're going to have to continue to do that, but eliminate the turnovers. That's going to be the key.
Well, and the problem is I can take almost, it sounds weird, but I can take Jeff Sims throwing picks. I can't take him just continuously fumbling snaps. I mean, that's what gets you benched. Shout out that kid, DJL, for the $2 super chat. Then a $5 super chat saying Cormani McLean is going to hit the transfer portal. You heard it here first. Corey Chavez says, I didn't know Jack Black did commentary, but besides that, the stream is fire. I'm subscribing. Hell yes. YouTube.com/@volumesaps. Hit the sub button, boys. We are your guides throughout all of college football season. Okay. There's a lot of talk. I saw Cal and some others discussing this in the chat. How high is Colorado's ceiling? We played this game last week, and we said, okay, you know what? I immediately have them as good or better than the entire middle tier. Yep. Like I didn't yet have them with Washington, USC, Utah, and Oregon. Yep. Like that's a big 4. Is it now a big 5?
It's a big 5.
You're putting Colorado in there already.
I would put them.
I mean, the way
Utah
conference, like
the way Utah looked today, and I know it's a Utah minus Cam Rising.
I
know it's a Utah minus Cam Rising. And they'll be playing. Colorado goes on the road to Utah to end the season. So obviously Cam Rising will be in that game. That's a completely different thing. But it goes back to the quarterback situation. When you have elite quarterback play, you're going to be put into that next tier.
That's how it works.
Like exactly, now, you have one of the best quarterbacks in the Pac-12. You have probably the best player inside the Pac-12 in Travis Hunter. You have other top-tier receivers. You have a team that's playing with a lot of confidence at the moment. Listen, they're going to be challenged. In 2 weeks, they go on the road against Oregon. Then they play USC right after that at home. Like that's going to answer all of our questions. But the way I've seen them play in 2 weeks, those are going to be competitive football games.
Yeah.
When you have Shedeur playing the way he's playing right now, they will be competitive in every single game this season.
Yeah, for me too. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not those as you get to the top tier, Shedeur is that level, the skill positions are that level. And while I love the execution of the defense, how hard they play, how well they tackle.
What's the difference between Colorado and USC?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, USC's what's the
defense
difference?
Looks like shit. I mean, USC's defense looks objectively way worse than Colorado.
I
gotta give my wife a parking pass. You keep talking.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, if you want to talk about like who right now is the top team in the Pac-12, like if we're going to just compare them to USC still needs a lot. They have to prove a lot to us when it comes to defense side of the football. Like how good are they on that side? Like, yeah, Colorado wasn't great last week. And yes, they didn't play maybe a top tier offense in Nebraska this week, but they're doing a lot of good things. They're getting turnovers. They're causing issues on the offensive side of the football. They're tackling well in space. They're gang tackling as well at all times. So I look at this team, I say, okay, great quarterback, really good skill, defense that has a good back end that is playing hard in the front seven. What is the difference between Colorado and USC? And I honestly, right now, I don't see a lot of it. Shedeur solves a lot of problems for that football team the way he's managing the football game right now.
Aaron, chill out, dude. That's my mom right there, okay? Be sweet.
Hello.
Be sweet. What's going on? She's checking out The Office. Okay, you have fun at the game. They're going to go do a little LSU tailgate, bro. All right, sorry about that, boys. All right, let's get to some of these comments. What did y'all just Randy Gilbert, they said the Corn Hub was going to beat overhyped Colorado. Yeah, I mean, we did not. A lot of people did. And, well, you found out. You believe now, says KP. I saw, where's my, who said it? I saw, where's my theme music? Did you see Deion Sanders' pregame from last game?
No.
Did we play that on Snaps? The speech.
So
it was so good, dude. Anytime you have your team finishing your sentences and understanding where you're going, like that's.
Did you see practice yesterday? He was essentially saying, like, this is, you don't let someone onto your block, into your house, and disrespect you. And same thing, they were in sync with him. That's a team that believes in their head coach. He tells them to go jump off a cliff, they're going to jump off a cliff.
This is why this is why I made that over 4.5 bet back in the day. Is because we saw Prime coaching Jackson State, talking to the players, and I was like, holy shit, this guy is a guy that you want to play for.
Yep.
Now, I had no clue that he had a first-round talent at quarterback.
No idea.
Like, I thought Shedeur, I am guilty for all the pat on the back of doing. I am guilty of being like, his HBCU stats were insane, but like a relatively small amount should carry over from that. And not only, it's somebody said in chat earlier, it's 900 fucking yards, 78% completion, and I think 7 touchdowns to the air, 1 on the ground so far. It's perfect. And he's been on the biggest stage, like you said, handling the pressure. Big noon kickoff 2 weeks in a row, massive games. And remember, if you want tickets to massive games, the best way to get tickets is on Game Time. If you don't know what Game Time is, this is the fastest growing ticketing app in the U.S. We are so pumped to be teaming up with Game Time. And look, it can be last minute. If you want amazing deals to your favorite college team, pro team this September, download Game Time. And it's not just NFL, college, the baseball games, concerts, comedy shows, whatever you want. Check it out. Right now, you promo code SNAPS, 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 get you $20 off your first purchase. So download Game Time, enter the code SNAPS. It helps out the boys. You get great tickets. You get $20 off no matter where you live. Get out and have some fun this week. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, all rights guaranteed. Like, you want to go to Texas, Alabama? Download Game Time. Use promo code SNAPS. Here is one thing.
If you want to continue to help the boys out, we're trying to get the 5K by the end of the weekend. So I think there's about 1,200, 1,300 people, 1,400 people now in the chat. Hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, go subscribe. T-Bob and I are bringing great content all season long, all year long.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's college football season, so make sure you check it out. We're live every single day. Or not actually live, but we're pumping out new content.
We're live on AMP, and then everything gets put up on YouTube, and then we do weekend live streams here on the YouTube channel. Normally not together, but Aaron's in town about to call the LSU game. One thing that is going to get completely lost in the shuffle that I really wanted to highlight about Colorado is at the very beginning of this game, Shedeur Sanders slid.
Wait. Your mom brought you a coffee and you didn't have her.
She said she got an extra iced coffee, dude. See, you think she has a crush on you and everything.
I did think she somehow T-Ball's mom decided to come into town the same weekend that I was here calling a game.
And it's funny because it's happened twice now, and it's like the only 2 times she's been in town in like 6 months. So, but she didn't bring you a coffee, so fuck you. You're not gonna sleep with my mom. No, okay, but this is something I want to highlight because this is going to get completely lost in the shuffle. But at the very beginning of this game, Shedeur Sanders rolled out and he slides. And the Nebraska defender hit him, but it wasn't a penalty. Like, he didn't mean to. He tried to hold up. He was already committed, right, when Shedeur slid. But Beak 78, their tackle, Savion Washington came over there, and he fucking chest bumped that dude. And he got an unnecessary roughness penalty, right? I don't hate that penalty.
No.
In fact, I fucking love that penalty because it is indicative of the toughness and the attitude that has powered this Colorado team through these first 2 weeks. I mean, when you see the video where Prime's getting on him at practice saying, if that motherfucker fights, you better not be walking around. He didn't say that because he doesn't curse, right? But if your 2 boys fight, you ain't running away. Like, you got to fight. That aggression, that is what has helped to power that confidence. It's all embodied in him standing up for Shedeur, taking that penalty, but basically setting the tone that, look, you ain't going to fuck with my guy.
Yes.
You ain't going to touch my guy. It's the same attitude Prime was talking about pregame, like you said in walkthroughs yesterday. You're going to let somebody come to your house, disrespect you and your family? Savion Washington told you off the bat, nah, that ain't happening. And I love that. Good ass penalty in front of a home crowd that's been good for Colorado fans. A second Saturday in a row where you're just, everything tastes a little sweeter. You got a spring in your step. Wait.
Hey, drinks on Joel Klatt tonight. You know he's gonna be turning up in Boulder tonight.
What was your question about who's higher earlier?
Oh yeah, no, I saw this on Twitter. It's like, who's higher right now, the state of Colorado or Deion's essentially
Deion Stock.
Deion Stock.
Both are astronomically high, and I wish I was there.
Yeah, I wish I was in Boulder.
Getting high with the rest of Colorado as well. God. Let's see. What's up, boys? Nebraska D came in the game that first half. Yeah, I mean, it did, but there's too many turnovers. And again, when you go against this was the exact thing that we said all week. Nebraska want to be able to keep pace.
Yes.
That is the definition of not keeping pace, because you could stop them a few times, but eventually Shedeur, and somebody asked about this earlier, saying seems like it takes Shedeur a couple series to kind of get into the flow state. As a quarterback, what is that like? How's that work?
But let's also think, when have they been playing? It's the big noon kickoff, but it's at 11, and was it a 10 o'clock kickoff, right? Colorado Mountain Time?
Yeah. So it's a 10 o'clock kickoff.
10 a.m. kickoff.
Oh, that's weird.
Dude, the juices are still, it takes some time to get going, man. That's early as hell in the morning for those guys. So like that goes into it a little bit as well. You're not going to come out guns blazing, scoring 14, 21 points in the first quarter all the time. Like it takes time to get into your rhythm, see what the defense is trying to present. Let's not forget, like, defenses, Nebraska, no one knew what this offense was going to look like. No one knew. So defenses are going to start trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we best suit and face Nebraska? So
how would you play them? How would you play them? From watching Colorado as close as we have through 2 games,
I would do something
in the NFL
Nebraska
for years. Okay,
I would continue to bring pressure, but then I would mix in drop 8,
because drop 8 seemed to be working early on
until Colorado can get a little bit more consistent running the football. I mean, that's going to be the big issue we talk about with Colorado week in and week out. Can they just line up and run the football and have success? Can they get to third and manageable, or is Sanders going to have to be a Superman on third and long situations over and over again? So I would continue in early downs and try to mix up the pressure a little bit, and then just drop 8, which Nebraska did. Like, once Nebraska's defense didn't lose this game for them.
No,
they ran out of gas because their offense was so bad, and their offense kept putting them in bad situations. I thought the defensive game plan was really good.
Making a difference, says Kyle Bigelow. People are not talking about it at all, but TB12, Tom Brady is mentoring him. Yeah, Chad brought that up last week, and he is playing as sound as Brady. Yeah. Somebody said Xavier Weaver for Biletnikoff. Like, yeah, sure. I mean, here early on, what receivers had a better 2 weeks? We'll see what happens out of Washington today, but they're not playing anybody that is actually gonna matter. One part of this Colorado team too, kind of overlooked a little bit. Jace Feely. Yeah. Jay Feely's kid, good kicker.
Yeah.
Been really solid. And if you're talking about toppling either Oregon, USC, like if you're going to upset one of the big boys, it's probably going to come down to a field goal at some point. And so Jace Feely will have a massive impact eventually on this season. Trucking with Tony saying the defense played much better. Yeah, they did. Like we said, man, the Colorado defense they're not just going to suddenly grow huge or uber talented, though they're certainly, their secondary is good, but they play hard and they discipline and they tackle and they swarm to the ball and they know where they're supposed to be. Like, that was one of the main problems with LSU last week. They didn't know where they were supposed to be in that zone coverage.
They're winning. It kind of reminds me, once again, we'll keep bringing it back to, like, what's the difference between Colorado and USC this year, last year? Colorado is kind of the same mold right now. They're playing a lead at the quarterback position, and then they're winning the turnover battle.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to take advantage of that. Like, USC last year had an incredible season when it came to turnovers with interceptions.
Yeah.
Which just stupid numbers. And that kind of masked some of the issues on that defense side of the football. Like, they were playing well because they weren't giving a ton of points, but they're giving a ton of yards. And right now through 2 weeks, Colorado may be kind of suffering in some parts of the pass game last week, giving up 222 yards rushing this week. But they're finding ways, whether it's the opposing team inflicting on themselves or last week making great plays, they're winning the turnover battle.
Yeah.
Which USC did last year, which got them to the point where they were 1 game away from
the only Pac-12. Problem is for USC, why it's a bit different, is USC won it to the tune of being a major statistical outlier.
Yep.
Like it wasn't sustainable, and it did cool off at the end of the year, and we'll see if it carries
What's
over
Colorado
into
right
this
now?
year.
They're probably +7.
They're probably +7, and again, Jeff Sims maybe makes today a bit of an outlier. How many turnovers did you end up with today for Sims? 3?
3.
Was it 3 more? I think maybe they dove back on one of those fumbles, but
2 or 3 more. I mean,
Randy Harris, T-Bob rocking the chest bush. Yeah, dude. And my favorite original trilogy Star Wars shirt. You already know the deal is Ahsoka's hitting right now. Ryan and me, does Nebraska's offense suck? Yes, of course. But the dig on Colorado last week was that they wouldn't be able to stop anyone. Shedeur reminds me of Russell Wilson. Yeah, it's funny because, well, we definitely learned more about the Shedeur, right? Because the other dig was that TCU's defense maybe sucked. Okay, well, Nebraska's defense maybe isn't great, but they're definitely better. And Shedeur in the skill positions completely broke them by the end. But if I'm a Buffalo's fan, like my guy Don Simber Willis, who's a Buffalo fan from Birmingham, Alabama, I'm probably feeling most good today because of what the defense showed me and some of the life and toughness that they showed me, because there was a world out there. And even at times in this game, it felt like maybe they weren't going to be able to stop the run, but they always kind of found a way to bend, but not break. Let's see what else.
Buffalo, baby. Ole Miss, Tulane, 7-7. A&M with a block punt.
Good game
up
so
7-0.
Colorado just don't have the dudes on defense this year's Patrick. See, I agree, but that's what's going to be scary about Colorado is when this all translates into recruiting success, and then you do give prime 4 and 5 star D linemen and front 7, you already know he's going to get great DBs because you've already seen it, right? But what happens when he starts getting dogs in the front 7 because they want to go play for him? I mean, even in the big new kickoff before the game, they're talking about how like a bunch of the Hall of Fame NFL players are trying to get on the coaching staff and stuff.
What about they're going to be in the Big 12 next year without Texas and Oklahoma? I mean, that team's going to be contending to win that conference starting next season.
Yeah, they immediately walk in as likely the favorite.
Yes. Well, they got to find a quarterback. I think.
Oh, Shedeur gone?
I think Shedeur's just a junior.
Oh, he is, right, because he played 2 years at Jackson State.
So you're going to have to find another quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Well, maybe not immediately walking in the favorite, but maybe so, because
get the portal, get a top quarterback out of the portal.
Because again, I think this will translate to massive. He did great in the transfer portal. Obviously, Deion did. And again, like we said last week, I think Deion and his staff deserve bonus points for scouting players that others had given up on. Because remember, when Tom Luganville texted you and was upset because we made fun of the worst roster in the World Conference, or comment, he was like, but where are they getting these guys, right? And he was naming all these small schools that nobody cares about. Well, guess what? Those players are working. Like, they may have been like the recruiting machine may not have seen their value, but this Colorado team did. And so that's going to translate to high school recruiting, and then Deion just becomes like pretty much unstoppable. How
about the Utah game, man? Utah Baylor.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's get to some other games, and if any other good comments pop up that I think are worth talking about, we'll get into that. Utah Baylor was crazy. Baylor looking like they had the win basically the entire time. Utah continuing to play.
4 yards in the fourth quarter for Baylor till the end, to the last possession when they get the big play and was ended up to had one chance to get in the end zone to tie it up. But I tell you what, Utah finding a way to win back-to-back games against a Baylor team that was embarrassed last week against Texas Tech. I mean, or Texas State. Sorry, not Texas Tech.
Texas State.
Texas State.
Shout out TJ Finley.
So you knew them at home were going to be a little bit frisky, and Utah, man, found a way defensively to stay in it, keep it alive. Offense made enough plays there in the second half to win it. You just got to stay alive till Cam Rising. That's it. Just stay in the hunt until Cam Rising can play, which, I mean, I still don't know. At the end of the day, it's still only been 8 months since the injury. I'm not worried about next week. You got Weber State next week. 2 more weeks maybe, and then you got to play Utah or UCLA. Means you got to play UCLA. Like, that's, I think for them, that's what they circled. I think they said, okay, we can win. We have the chance because of our defense to win the first 3 games. Can we give Cam essentially the first month off, and then starting UCLA, we got to make sure he's as healthy as possible.
If you were Cam Rising, would you want to come back one game before though?
No.
You'd want to come back at UCLA?
Yes.
Okay.
He's good enough. He's played enough football.
That's true.
He's played enough football. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the biggest takeaway for me are twofold. First off, Dave Aranda trending in the massively wrong direction. I mean, he won the Big 12 the first year he was at Baylor.
Yep.
Right? And that insane championship game that came down to like a 6-inch stop on the goal line against Oklahoma State. And now just getting beat down by Texas State and then having a top 15 win in your grasp and just finding ways. Like, that's what bad teams do. They find ways to lose game. And Kyle Whittingham, in the inverse, deserves some credit for what he's built because they find ways to win games. That's a good program too. Real quick, Greg Hendricks says here, Aaron, thoughts on Carson Beck?
Yep.
Georgia, is Georgia good? I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. People are talking, dude.
They're chirping.
I don't know, bro. Your text at the beginning of the game,
I was not happy.
Your text at the beginning of the game did not dictate that maybe you were too pleased with your dogs.
I was not too pleased in that first quarter. I don't think anyone was pleased after that, watching the first quarter of Georgia. So this is really interesting. So I talked with Carson about a month ago, and he was talking about during the offseason, he watched a lot of Aaron Rodgers and how Aaron Rodgers did such a great job of essentially eliminating the process down the field. So if there's a certain coverage that dictated that a guy wasn't going to be open, man, let me just find my check down right now. Boom, get the ball in my hand. And he's like, that's what I want to do this year. I want to be able to get through my progress, find the check down. I think he's gone to the extreme a little bit right now. Like, he's kind of eliminating the first, second, and third read and just saying, boom, let me find my back out of the backfield. Boom, let me find my receiver tight end in the flat. And sometimes, yeah, you can get through it a little bit faster, but also these first couple of games when you do have the better athletes, you allow those guys like a tick extra second. Like, when you have the best offensive line in the country, when you got speed on the outside, it may be covered right when you look up, but you buy him an extra second in the pocket, those guys are open down the field. So, like, I just want him to continue watching the film and give my guys that half a second longer, trust that they're going to get open, see the space in the defense, and let it rip, and not just say, okay, boom, let me find my check down. Okay, boom, let me find my check down. That's my only big critique for Carson right now.
And you hear that, dog fans? Copium. The copium. Everybody's huffing copium because y'all know when you hit a team with a pulse, you're in trouble. Now, granted, this schedule lines up where, like, you can continue to try to improve, but you ain't going to be tested.
Nope.
You're not going to know what it feels like when you get punched in the mouth.
South Carolina next week.
The same South Carolina that gave up 18 sacks to UNC, and that's a credit to UNC. But Georgia's D-line should fucking wreck Spencer Rattler. They should break him into 1,000 tiny pieces.
This is a true test. It's going to be a better test for the offense. Because that's like, I mean, the defense was never a question. Like, we know this is going to be one of the best defenses in the country. No question about that. It's how good can this offense be? So I'm more concerned of, are they gonna sack Spencer? Are they gonna make his life hell? Most likely. But is this offense going to produce at home against a better quality defense? Because they have, based on the way they've played for the first 2 weeks, not saying they're going to be in trouble next week, but it ain't going to look efficient.
One of my favorite things to do these first 2 weeks for Georgia have been to just
rip them
search. No. Just to search Mike Bobo in the Twitter machine. And Georgia fans seem to hate Mike Bobo with the passion of 1,000 burning suns. I'm sure you're going to have a bit more of a measured approach, but how do you feel that your guy Bobo's done through 2 weeks?
Average. I think he's still warming up a little bit. I'm going to defend him. It's only week 2, new pieces, new quarterback, and I think Carson has gone through a couple of those reads a little bit too fast and missed some opportunities down the field. They've won 45-3, and what did they win last week? 48-7. They're averaging 46 points a game.
No. Don't do that. You know that is disingenuous.
46 points per game.
Oh my God, dude.
Getting your feet wet, back calling plays, new quarterback, everything else.
There's a special team such I missed.
I don't care. And there's a pick 6 last week too.
Okay, exactly. So let's bump it down to high 30s.
Your best receiver's been out for 2 weeks.
All I'm saying is don't hit me with the score.
Week.
That's a fine point. That's a legitimate point.
Yes.
The score is not. The score doesn't matter. I told you all year long, we know they're going to put up stats. It's not if they put up stats, it's how do they look while doing so. They have not inspired confidence while doing so. No. Do you think the team believes in Carson Beck?
I do think the team believes in Carson Beck.
Okay. We're going to see. We're going to see. 1-2 says Nebraska lost this game more than Colorado won. No, I couldn't disagree more.
Nope.
I couldn't disagree more. I mean, look, does
Colorado
Nebraska
was the better team
by far. Which again, the mad experiment of Coach Prime through all the hate, through all the doubt, A+ passing grade, we
We were talking about
it boggles the mind how good and complete this team feels and how well they execute, consider they were just haphazardly thrown together in the last 6 months. It's a coaching masterclass, like we said last week.
If you would have polled all the experts in college football 3 weeks ago, what will Colorado be through the first 2 weeks of the season? What would you say? 80%, 85, maybe 90% would say 0-2.
It definitely would have been 2-0. 80 to 90% would have been 1-1 or 0-2. Because I don't like a lot of people didn't believe in Nebraska either, right? But it's probably
they were 7.5 point dogs 2 weeks ago in this game.
It would be most 0-2,
most 0-2,
with some 1-1, and maybe like 2% of people saying 2-0, just like the hardcore people who don't give a fuck and just love Colorado, or just love Coach Fry. No, I mean, that's why we keep talking about them. That's why everybody keeps talking about it, because I've done sports talk now since I got out of college. I've been doing this daily for 10 years in October. And what determines how we talk about a team is never just the results. It's where do they land in relation to the expectation. And so them going 2-0 is fine. But like, if Alabama beats those two teams, whatever, we're not even talking about it. We mentioned and move on. But it's that this shouldn't work.
Nope.
And not only did it work, but it's worked better than any of us ever could have fathomed. So when you have that large of a disparity between expectation and result, that's why we're waxing so poetic, because it boggles the mind. And it's impressive from any angle that you look at it. Do you have to go call the game?
I have to call the game.
Okay, you got to go call the game. All right. Well, hey, look, massive thank you.
I'll be on live tonight, though, post Texas, Alabama. So make sure you tune back in. We'll send out some reminders as well.
Yep.
But we'll be breaking down probably the biggest non-conference game of the season.
Oh, look, our guy John Middlecoff's in here, our volume brethren. Put Shedeur on LSU or Bama, and they are national champs, bro.
Yes.
I mean, legitimately, yes. Like, and I like Jaden Daniels. I'm not, I think Jaden has areas he could improve. I think he could put him into better positions, but Shedeur is, I mean, Colin said it earlier this week. He talked to NFL executives. He's a legit first round prospect. God, yeah. If you had him on Bama this year, that'd be silly, or LSU shit. But hell yeah, look, we have to go, but a massive thank you to everybody hanging out with us. Shout out to them. I'm very excited to be partner with Game Time, partner with DraftKings. By the way, the bets are looking great today. Shout out Utah, finding a way to push at least. Shout out Jalen Daniels in Kansas. We got to give them some credit real quick, dude. Big win for the boys while getting Mexican last night. Watching Jalen Daniels carve up that Brett Bielema Big Ten defense. Excellent job. Dude, okay, last thing I'll say here. Lance Leipold, Chris Kleeman, Kalen DeBoer, proving to me, fuck a hotshot coordinator. I want my head coach, someone who's won championships on lower levels. They are all guys who have resumes littered with, NAIA championships, XBL, like letters I've never seen combined, but championships, and it's all translated to the next level. It's really got to make you rethink how you hire, or you just go get an NFL Hall of Famer with otherworldly charisma, and he just like makes you fucking awesome immediately. Oh, and he has a first round quarterback son. Oh, and he has a son that plays safety and starts to get double-digit tackles, and he recruits the best two-way player that we've seen ever really here recently. Crazy times. College football is awesome. We love it. We love you. YouTube.com/@VolumeSnaps. We're on every day. If you just Google Snaps Podcast, you can find us on Apple, Spotify. Rate, review, help us grow the show. Thank you, Darren Franklin. Like and subscribe. Everybody who did. We'll see you around for some more snaps.